Hi, I'm John England, founder of Property Solutions United and creator of Ultimate Investor Pro, the blueprint for creating $1 million real estate empire starting from scratch with no money, no credit, and no clue. And in this video, I'm going to teach you the simplest way to get your very first real estate done and how to put it all together in 1 week. So, have you heard the statement before that if you want good answers, then you have to ask good questions? I didn't know exactly how powerful that statement was until somebody came up to me and asked the question that I'm going to answer for you in this video. So here's the question they asked. They said, John, if you only had one strategy, one tool, and 1 week to put together your first real estate deal, what would you do? Now this is an amazing question because this person understood two things. One, they knew exactly what their goal was, which they wanted to put together their very first real estate deal in under 1 week without having any clue about real estate investing. And two, they understood that laser sharp focus is the key ingredient to this. If they had to figure all this stuff out by themselves, it would take them years, and if they had to learn several different strategies and all kinds of different techniques, it would take them months. So they asked me the perfect question. If you had only one strategy, only one tool, and only 1 week to put together your very first real estate deal, what would you do? Man, the time and energy I could have saved if I would have been smart enough to ask that question to somebody who I knew would probably have a good answer for it. At this point, you might still be thinking that this is going to be impossible for me to answer, that there's just too many restrictions in this question for it to be possible. But there is an answer. You might be thinking, no, this can't work. I need to learn how to evaluate properties. I need to build my credit. I need to hire contractors. I need a realtor. I need this. I need that. Well, my answer would be completely different if this question didn't have so many restrictions on it. But the person that asked it knew that they didn't want to hear a big extravagant answer that would overwhelm them and leave them confused. So here's something that everybody can relate to. If you were starving and someone said you can either have a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant or you can have scrambled eggs, which would you choose? Now, I know some people are thinking, ew, I don't like bacon, egg, and cheese croissants, but that's not the point. I'm a vegetarian, so I know what you're saying, but for now, let's assume that everybody loves bacon, egg, and cheese croissants. So which would you choose? Bacon, egg, and cheese croissant or side of eggs? Well, of course, everybody would pick the bacon, egg, and cheese croissant instead of just some measly side of scrambled eggs. But here's the catch. You can only have one or the other. And you have to cook it for yourself from complete scratch. And if you don't, then you can't have either. If you choose the croissant over the scrambled eggs, then you're going to have to learn to cook the eggs, cook the bacon, collect all the ingredients for the croissant mix, mix the dough together, probably let it rise or something, I don't even know, and then bake it perfectly. And do it all on your very first try or you don't get to eat. And at this point, you haven't eaten in days, and if you don't get something in your stomach in the next few minutes, you're going to flip out. Now which one of these would you choose? I know what I would pick, and I don't think anybody else would argue. I would pick the eggs that you can just throw on the stove and be eaten in a couple minutes. Sure, I would love to have that big mouth-watering croissant, but it's just not feasible at this moment in this situation. Do you know anybody who might be in a similar financial situation? Yes, they would love to have a bazillion-dollar real estate business cranking out hundreds of deals, but if they can't figure out something that's going to be quick and easy like scrambled eggs, then they're not going to get to eat. If you do know anyone like that, then you should definitely tell them to watch this video as soon as possible because I'm about to give the answer to the question that has prompted me to teach people how to make a one-ingredient real estate meal that can be put together in 1 week. Are you ready for that? Okay, the parts of this question are one strategy, one tool, and 1 week. Let's start with the strategy. The one strategy that I would use, and the only one that I know of that you could probably use for this, would be wholesaling. If you aren't familiar with wholesaling, here's what it is. You find a good deal, you get it under contract, and you sell that contract to an investor. You don't buy the property, you don't fix up the property, you just find it, you make an agreement to purchase it from the seller, and then sell that agreement to purchase to an investor. So here's an example of my very first wholesale deal. I was learning real estate investing, so I always kept my eyes peeled for anything that could help me progress at it. As I was driving down the road, I saw a house with a dumpster in front of it, and people were working on it. So I decided to stop in and see what these people were doing. I thought they might be fixing and flipping this property, so I decided I wanted to go in and see it all in action. So when I went inside, I was surprised to meet the investor who actually owned it. He was actually in there working on the property, But it turned out that that real estate investor was buying a couple houses a month. And I told him that I was an aspiring investor and I wanted to get into this. And he said, cool, if you see any properties like this one that I'm working on and you can get a good deal for me, let me know because I'll buy it from you. So I went out and I found a property like the one that he was working on. And I got it under contract for $20,000. I signed an agreement saying that I was going to purchase that property for cash in the next 30 days. Then I went to the investor and said, hey, I've got a house that I think you would like for $25,000. And he said, cool, I'll take it. And he signed an assignment of agreement contract between him, which basically took my name off the original agreement between me and the seller and then put his name on it instead. Now he gave me $5,000 to do that. So the investor purchased that property for 20 grand, which was what was on the original contract, and then gave me the extra 5 grand. Then that investor went on to fix up the property and then rent it out, and then he said to me, he said, hey John, that was awesome. Do you have any more properties like this? So that's the entire process. So it's all super simple, but you might be thinking now, how do I find properties like that? Well, that leads us to part 2 of the question. What one tool would I use? The one strategy I would use is wholesaling. That's what we just covered. And the one tool I would use if I was forced into only one and I only had 1 week to do it would be bandit signs. Bandit signs are the little signs you see on the side of the road that might say yard sale or that has a politician's name on it so they're promoting themselves during an election. These little signs are highly effective and give you an instant response basically. If you do a good bandit sign campaign, you'll start receiving phone calls within the first 24 hours. So here's how we would use them. First, you want to make sure that you're using yellow 18 by 24 inch signs. They don't have to be that exact size, but it should be close to that. And they do have to be yellow because that color hands down works the best. The next key ingredient is that you have to have a black Magnum permanent marker. Don't go get one of those little tiny markers. You have to get the Magnum one because your writing has to be so big that people can read it while they're driving down the road. Okay, so far the key ingredients are 18 by 24 inch yellow signs, a black giant Magnum marker, and then the next ingredient is that you have to put them up at busy intersections where people might be sitting for a minute at a stoplight so they can read your sign. The last ingredient is, what do you write on these signs? Well, we're going to have 2 different signs. One is going to be to find those investors that we're going to sell our properties to, and we're going to start with that because investors are what we want to find first. We want to find them first because they're going to tell us exactly what kind of houses that we should be out looking for. So to find investors, here's what you're going to write on your signs. The top sign, or the top line of the sign will say house for sale. The second one's going to say needs work, and then the third line is going to say cash only. And then your last line will be your phone number. And this sign is targeted directly to people who want to buy a house, who don't mind working on it, and who do have cash to buy the property with. Who do you think that describes? Well, it describes investors. They're going to know that you're talking to them and they're going to call you looking for a house to sell that needs work and that they have cash to pay for. Well, the house that we just described that they're looking for is what we're going to use our other sign to find. This sign is going to say, I buy houses on the top line, any condition on the second line, and then your phone number on the last line. The people you're looking for with these signs are desperate sellers who have a house that probably needs some work done to it. Then your job is to just connect these desperate sellers with these cash buyer investors and then collect your $5,000 per deal in the middle. And that's the entire process. So here's the entire wholesaling process again from start to finish. Day 1, put out 25 bandit signs that say house for sale, needs work, cash only with your phone number. Day 2, put out 25 bandit signs that say I buy houses, any condition with your number on it. Then you start answering the phones until you find a match between what an investor buyer is looking for and what a motivated seller has for sale. When you find a match, you get that house under contract, then you sell that contract to the investor and collect your $5,000 wholesaling fee. The one strategy is wholesaling. The one tool is bandit signs. So I hope this video has served you. I'm excited that you're on the path to taking your life into your own hands. Thanks for watching. Now go out there. Always remember to give what you want to get and be the change that you want to see. Go to ultimateinvestorpro.com for instant access to a completely free video training series that's going to teach you in detail, step by step, how do you build $1 million real estate empire from scratch with 4 simple, no money, no credit investing strategies. Again, go to ultimateinvestorpro.com, and in this training, I'm going to teach you the 4 strategies going to show you what each one is and how to use it, and I'm going to teach you the 7 best ways to find deals for pennies on the dollar, and I'm going to show you what to do with them once you found them, and I'm going to show you how you can fund your entire projects. This works even if you don't have any money, even if you don't have any credit, and even if you don't have any clue what you're doing. And the best part is, this detailed step-by-step training series is completely free. Just go to ultimateinvestorpro.com for instant access, and I'll see you there.